Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rotoballer Radio Waiver Wire Series. I'm your host, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you as we take a look at the Week 4 waiver wire for the quarterback and tight end position. Guys, don't forget, if you want to win big in 2021, Rotoballer.com's NFL Premium Pass. Are you ready to dominate your season-long and DFS leagues? Rotoballer's NFL Premium Pass and Draft Kit includes rankings, projections, and cheat sheets for all formats. Get exclusive DFS tools, lineup optimizers, and premium Slack chats. Join in on the winning and take 50% off any premium pass. Use my promo code ACES for another 10% discount. Visit rotoballer.com/radio. Sign up today, and as they say, start rotoballing like a boss. All right, everybody, hopefully you checked out the running back video or wherever you're listening to our podcast, and the wide receiver waiver wire video. Now it's time to take a look at a few quarterbacks and tight ends available to help you in the coming weeks of your fantasy football season. And we have two big ones that are still grossly under-rostered, and we'll start with Derek Carr, arguably the league MVP for the undefeated Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't know what more he needs to do at this point. Still 53% rostered on Yahoo. He should be 100% rostered and now approaching a situation where he's a must-play. Okay, that's now the conversation about Derek Carr is, who did you draft at quarterback, and are you putting Derek Carr ahead of that player? Because it is a fair conversation to have. 3 games now on the season over 300 yards, 2 TDs in each of those, and 3 straight games of over 30 fantasy points, making Henry Ruggs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Bryan Edwards, all fantasy relevant at the wide receiver and tight end position. This week in an overtime matchup, 26 for 43, 386 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. They fell behind early to Miami, go to overtime late, pull out the victory. Derek Carr, clutch throughout the game, 30.2 fantasy points. And in another shootout, it looks like, in the AFC West as they face the Chargers next week. That should be a fun game. I would early on predict both quarterbacks, Justin Herbert and Derek Carr, to go over 30 fantasy points in that one. He is my obvious number 1 quarterback ad. Number 2, Sam Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. Time to take him seriously as well for what he did on Thursday night. 23 of 34. Another 300-yard passing game. 304 to be exact. Second 300-yard passing game in a row. Didn't throw for a touchdown, but Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, and he rushes for 2. 25.3 fantasy points for Sam Darnold. Now, McCaffrey, you wouldn't expect him to play next week against Dallas. Chuba Hubbard had a nice game in his replacement. DJ Moore has been fantastic for Sam Darnold. He has 20 or more fantasy points now each week of the season. I have now, in 2 quarterback leagues, I drafted him as my 3rd QB. He is now my solid number 2, as I've bumped him, obviously, ahead of Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. Up 3, Jameis Winston of the New Orleans Saints. A healthy coaching staff back on the sidelines for the Saints in Week 3. And Jameis Winston, 2 more touchdown passes, okay, on the season. Now, one of them you saw Sean Payton not happy about, kind of just chucked it up. Marquez Callaway made a nice catch, kind of saved Winston of a potential turnover. They're not asking him to do a lot. Only 21 passes, 13 of 21. Only 128 yards. But if he's going to throw for 2 touchdowns a game, still waiting for Michael Thomas to hopefully get healthy and get back on the field. Jameis Winston, a great matchup next week against the Giants. Okay, Matt Ryan was able to move the ball on them late, go to overtime, and not overtime, go down to the wire and win it late at the buzzer. 17.5 fantasy points for Jameis Winston. Okay, week 1, don't forget that 5 touchdowns. So he's got 7-8 touchdowns already on the season through 3 games. Okay, I look at week 2 as the odd game. Okay, simply because that coaching staff was all out due to COVID. Okay, 45% rostered is Jameis Winston. And finally, Tyler Heineke of the Washington football team. Still only 6% rostered. Has a great matchup next week against Atlanta. I still don't take their defense that seriously. It was the Giants that they only allowed 14 points to on Sunday. 212 yards, 2 touchdowns against a very tough Buffalo team. He also ran for a touchdown, 8 rushes, 21 yards, and ran it in. 25.4 fantasy points. Terry McLaurin remains usable. Logan Thomas. Tyler Heineke could easily remain the quarterback of the Washington football team the rest of the season. And I love the matchup against Atlanta. I said it with Josh Hayes on SiriusXM. Heineke went up a weight class this past weekend against Buffalo. He did okay. The team didn't do well. The defense was terrible. Josh Allen dominated the game. But from a fantasy perspective, Tyler Heineke gave you 25 fantasy points against a good Buffalo defense. So the quarterbacks, it's Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, Jameis Winston, and Tyler Heineke. Now, a couple of tight ends to take a look at. Dawson Knox has reached must-own status on your fantasy teams. 5 targets, 4 receptions, 49 yards, another touchdown. 2 weeks in a row, Dawson Knox has caught a touchdown from Josh Allen. 14.9 fantasy points this week. Only 9% rostered on Yahoo. Okay, facing Houston next week. Number 2, Pat Freiermuth, the rookie for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 8% rostered. 3 for 22 on 5 targets. A touchdown reception. 11.2 fantasy points. He has 9 targets over his last 2 games. And keep in mind, Deontay Johnson missed the game. And then we had Juju Smith-Schuster leave the game early. Pittsburgh running out of receiving options. More targets could be coming to the rookie in the coming weeks. Next week, week 4, against the Green Bay Packers. And finally, is this the week that a tight end for the Minnesota Vikings finally steps up? Irv Smith injured. They traded for Chris Herndon. They basically gift-wrapped a 4th-round pick to the New York Jets. Tyler Conklin, 4% rostered on Yahoo, has 16 targets now over 3 games. Okay, Kirk Cousins is looking to him on an average of 5 times a game. Now, half of those targets did come this past week in week 3. 8 targets, 7 for 70 and a touchdown against Seattle. Sign me up. Okay, tight ends have had success against Cleveland, who they play this week. Tyler Conklin, 20 fantasy points in week 3. If you're streaming tight ends and don't want to pay any fab money for them, Tyler Conklin can be the cheap one to get there. Now, overall though, Dawson Knox is the clear number 1. He is a red zone target for Josh Allen, so he is somebody to continue to look at. So to recap, again, quarterbacks, go Carr, Darnold, Winston, Heineke. At the tight end position, go Knox, Freiermuth, and Conklin for a $1 fab bid. Why not? Drop a Zach Ertz if you want to, and add a guy like Conklin there. All right, everybody? Don't forget, give me a follow on Twitter at Aniano Fantasy. Head over to rotoballer.com, sign up for that premium package. Use the promo code ACES. Save yourself a bit of money. And whether it's right here on Rotoballer Radio on YouTube or wherever you listen to the Rotoballer podcasts, make sure you check out this, the running back waiver wire, the wide receiver waiver wire, and then later in the week, each and every week, the King and Scott Angle and I in the King and Pocket Aces looking at sleeper and value plays. All right, everybody, stay smart, stay safe. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, folks.